obviously. Doesn't say anything, just as obviously. So what exactly is the point of keeping him around? Never mind being in charge of baseball operations. Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or hockey, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Cubs 3, Pirates 2. Yesterday in Chicago, the home team ended up with 3 out of 4 in that series. The Pirates, even though they, the first place Cubs, managed to score only 9 total runs in those 4 games. Why? You know the answer. Because the visitors managed to score only 7. The low number of runs was very much an anomaly for Chicago. That is to the inestimable credit of Pittsburgh's pitching staff as a whole. The starters, relievers, Oscar Marin, the catchers, everybody. That's just a superb job over a 4-game series against that opponent. And it all gets wasted for the same reason that everything gets wasted with this team. And really with this organization pretty much top to bottom. That's that the general manager does absolutely nothing about it. There was a time when that sort of inactivity could be painted as patience, as attempting to build something in the longer term, or if you build up enough pitching prospects, you can turn them into hitting prospects. We're so far past that. It's not even in the conversation anymore. In fact, beginning with 5 weeks ago, when Derek Shelton was fired, and Ben Cherington, stunningly, was not, and the owner, Bob Nutting, speaks publicly to placing a priority on how the remainder of this season plays out, not from the standpoint of the standings or anything like that, but just perform better, progress, start making some strides. Since then, since that moment, since something that really should have caught everybody's attention inside the building at 115 Federal, Cherington's body of work in assembling additional offense is hold up a fist. That's it, right there. It's nothing. He's done nothing. If you want to get technical on me and count the 210 hitting catcher that came up, the 30-year-old from the minors, and had himself a nice game, you can go right ahead and do that. But generally speaking, this isn't how GMs behave or how they should behave when the owner tells them to do something. But as I've been telling you for 5 years and change now, and I would lump him and Shelton together in saying this, they don't come with another speed. There isn't some bonus gear here. They are exactly who they are. They are exactly what they are. And the worst part is, neither of them was really very good at that. And by that, I mean the constant state of, franchise building, where it's just the endless accumulation of young players and making moves for the sake of development and distributing playing time the same way. They don't have the other chapter to the book. They've never read it. So what ends up happening in a scenario like this, and to keep repeating myself, this is one of about 1 billion reasons he shouldn't be here anymore, is he doesn't know what to do. So he's essentially panicking. And what do a lot of people do when they're panicking? And I mean panicking for real. They go running and hiding. Yesterday was, I don't even know, because I haven't been keeping numerical track, but Cherington again blew off his weekly radio show that he does on a team-produced basis that's part of a tradition that dates back 50-plus years with this franchise, beginning with Joel Brown and continuing with every single GM who's followed, until this one, who's getting nothing done, and therefore couldn't have been doing anything, says, I'll just send Steve Sanders. That's one of his assistants. Why? It's not important for people to hear from me. It's not the best use of my time. I could be over here instead. I could be doing, nothing. You know that stuff that Nutting said he wanted to see for the remainder of this season? Listen to this. The Pirates had won 5 out of 6 on the previous homestand. Really impressive sweep of the Phillies, and then 2 of 3 from the Marlins. The one that they lost to the Marlins was last Tuesday, and it was a 3-2 loss, 1-run game. They go out to Wrigley, first place Cubs. All 4 games are decided by 1 run. The Pirates win 1 of those. So for anybody who would be suggesting, they're not just 1 move away, of course they aren't. But 1 move is at least something. And 1 move in this sequence that I'm looking at here on the calendar right now, beginning with the Phillies and then the Marlins and the Cubs, I can say to you with a straight face that this easily could be a 10-game winning streak, with 7 of those games having been against Philadelphia and Chicago, 2 of the better teams in the National League. If the GM had even a pulse. Now, listen, for those of you who have spent the first 6 minutes and 33 seconds of this segment just yelling back at me that this is Nutting's fault, not Cherington's, you are completely correct. Because only he can make this change. And if even he doesn't believe in this general manager, then only he can attempt to explain why Cherington's still here. Furthermore, for those of you who are instead, over those first 6 minutes and 33 seconds, yelling at me that what can this GM do if he knows he's dead man walking, then his hands are tied and he's not allowed to, He's doing nothing. I'm not talking about whether or not he's permitted arbitrarily and unilaterally to trade Bubba Chandler for somebody else's top hitting prospect. That level of a transaction would need to be approved by 100% of all owners in professional sports. That doesn't make Cherington an outlier. Might he be trusted less to get the appropriate return? Oh, you bet. But is there anything stopping Cherington from adding to the offense, from moving one of these pitchers, a veteran pitcher, whoever, or even a prospect, to bring in offense? No, nothing. He just doesn't operate that way. When we come back, J1Q. If you're looking for a great dining experience, look no further than North Shore Tavern, located directly across Federal Street from PNC Park, next door to Mike's Beer Bar. North Shore Tavern is Pittsburgh's home for steak on a stone. Enjoy your steak finished on a hot lava stone in front of you, where you ensure each piece is cooked to exactly your liking. Or try their rotating selection of entrees, hot sandwiches, salads, and burgers, all while enjoying the ambiance dedicated to the great players and history of the Pittsburgh Pirates all around you. Come see why everyone's talking about North Shore Tavern and steak on a stone.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragecheck.org. That's gunstoragecheck.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Tim Tolley, who says, DK, with Connor Griffin, am I the only one who thinks he's going to rocket through the minors and end up in Pittsburgh before the end of the 2026 season? Let me start with this, Tim. Every time that I say that the Pirates have never acquired any kind of hitting from top to bottom in the organization, I will now, and I did this in the opening segment, throw in a pretty much top to bottom in the organization. That's because of this young man. Griffin is 19 years old. He was the Pirates' first-round pick last year, 9th overall, and to this very early stage of his professional career, he has been very encouraging, to say the least. So far in the minors, split between low A and high A, he is batting .346. These sound like video game numbers. With a .405 on base percentage, 11 home runs in 234 at bats, 32 steals. I have described him on this program from my encounter with him in spring training in Bradenton this year as just a freakish looking baseball player. He's a prime athlete, 6'4", 225. Looks like he belongs in the Steelers room, to be honest with you. Like tight end build. He's capable not only of playing shortstop where he is now, but also center field. He's capable of staying at shortstop or center field, meaning over the course of his development. He has a good eye. He's hitting for average. He's hitting for power. Home run he hit yesterday went 432 feet out to left. And talk about handling a promotion. Well, he's only been up with Greensboro in the Sally League for 6 games, and he's off to a 11 for 27 start with 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, 3 walks, 6 steals. Like, I'm just throwing that in parenthetically, 6 steals. Now, what's going to be his pace through the system? Well, there are a couple of things to consider here, and one of them is that for as long as Ben Cherington is employed, there very fairly should be a cynical eye cast on this sort of thing. Why is that? It's because when you're trying to make the case that you've got a better system than you might have, you're going to hold people down. I'm not guessing at this. I've covered it. There's ample precedent for it right here in Pittsburgh. Now, this kid was absolutely destroying the Florida State League, didn't leave them any choice, but still, to the credit of the management, he did get moved up to Greensboro. Should he be in Altoona right now? I'm willing to have that conversation. But I also know that when it comes to this GM, just 3 weeks ago on his weekly radio show, he was suggesting to the host and the questioner that they should bring up the way the Greensboro Grasshoppers are hitting in general, just because it's something that he feels has gotten ignored. You know why he wants that out? Okay, all right, good. As long as we're on the same page here. The next thing to be wary of is that development people across the industry always prefer to see a prospect, even a top prospect, struggle just a little bit so that they can see how the prospect overcomes adversity. At one point or another, for everybody except Paul Skeens, you're going to hit adversity. You're going to run into a level or an opponent that throws something at you that you hadn't seen. And how you adjust to that, how you counterpunch, says a lot about your readiness before the next move. So where does that happen with Griffin? At what point? And how long do you wait to try to force that issue if, in fact, he just continues creaming the baseball everywhere he goes? My third and final point here, and this is going to sound a little bit contradictory to stuff that I've already brought up in this segment, but hear me out. Once Griffin is destroying the ball, either in AAA or even in AA, because of the Pirates' needs, because of their grotesque lack of offense, there's going to be a clamor unlike anything we've seen in a long time related to this franchise about hurrying him up. We're going to be citing historical references. I'm going to be able to share with you that I watched Aramis Ramirez suit up for the Pirates as a 19-year-old at Three Rivers Stadium. Why? Because everybody could see that the kid could hit. Poor Rammer comes up and goes over his first 21, but I digress. And that also will need to be resisted. Whether it's this current management team, whether it's a totally new management team, your top priority to an elite prospect, and that's where this kid's heading, is to the prospect. Now, I'd be remiss if I said all this and used the word elite either 2 or 3 times and didn't give proper credit. Just as I've given credit to Cherington and his staff for the drafting of Jared Jones, I'll give that to the same people for the drafting of Griffin, while at the same time holding firm to the very easily supported stance that has been nowhere near enough, especially when it comes to hitting. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. We'll do another one of these tomorrow.